All right, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to my channel. What's up? Okay, today we are going to talk about the stuff that I love to talk about best, and that is these trials, the legal eagle, right? Y'all know I love me a good trial. Let me just make sure my sound. Oh, I'm loud. I'm loud. Oh, I'm loud. Let me see. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, that's better. Okay. So I just wanted to make sure everything was working because I was so loud. But okay, so we're back, we're back, we're back. So I'd like to talk about these trials. I'm so interested in this trial. And so one of the things I want to talk about, I am an attorney, but this is not legal advice. But I want to talk about this Joolio Foolio trial. The reason why is because I'm just so confused. It's a lot. It's a lot, right? But the girl is on the stand, Alicia Andrews. She's on the stand for her involvement in the murder, right? And so we've had or in the situation that's going on, right? So we have we have some things that have come up about these motions, and I want to look at the motions. I want to look at her best friend's testimony. There's so much to do, but this live is going to focus on her attorney's defense because I'm sure everybody knows by now, but the issue is not whether Alicia pulled the bang bang, right? She did not. They don't believe she pulled the trigger. Rather, the issue is that she plotted, planned, and conspired with the other gentleman to do this. Okay, so that's where we are. That's the issue. A lot of people are saying, well, she didn't kill them. She's not the killer. The issue is not whether she was with them. The issue is more whether she plotted, killed, and plan this. Okay, so I'm going to bring this up in my screen so that we can take a look at the opening statement. So these opening statements right now are the opening statements
Evil,
finishing
cold,
for the
bloody
defense,
murder.
prosecution, excuse me.
That she followed this man,
A shout out from
watched
Prime,
him,
they're my favorite.
encouraged her co-defendants by her actions and words, tried to find lodging, that she assisted in every way, and then after the fact did everything she could to defend this conspiracy.
I wonder if I can fast forward this because I'm like,
at the end,
that group
see if I start it right there.
is guilty of conspiring and committing
Right, I got my
first-degree
chips
murder.
to go with this. So
there are a few things that you should keep in mind throughout this trial. One, on the weekend, Charles Jones was killed. Alicia Andrews was on a weekend trip with her boyfriend with only one agenda: to be with her boyfriend.
So let's pause it right there. I think that is one of the things that is going to be make or break, right? Her defense is not that she wasn't there. Her defense is not that that wasn't her boyfriend. Her defense is merely that she was only there with her boyfriend to go on a friendly lover's vacation. That's what her defense is. And so we're going to continue to watch to see the rest of her defense. But based on that argument, right, he says she was there to enjoy a weekend with her boyfriend, right? So just put ourselves in that mind frame of that is her defense.
Two, Alicia Andrews is not in a gang. Three, with the exception of her boyfriend, Alicia Andrews did not know any of those men in that group, and none of those men in that group knew Alicia Andrews. As a matter of fact, if there was some conspiracy, Alicia Andrews was not in the loop because she was not in the group. Four, Alicia Andrews is not a part of the drill rap culture, nor the drill rap scene. Five, Alicia Andrews did not have any physical evidence on any weapon displayed by the state. You would not find DNA, fingerprints, no physical evidence whatsoever linking Alicia Andrews to this case. 6, Alicia Andrews did not have a motive. In other words, there is no evidence whatsoever to
I'm
support
taking notes
this case
so that we
of
can refollow
conspiracy or first-degree
these
murder
notes.
against Alicia
Taking notes.
Andrews. I'm sure you're wondering, there's no evidence against Alicia Andrews, then why are we here? We're here because of the perception of the facts of one man, Detective Juan Ramos. But ladies and gentlemen of the jury, perception is not reality. Detective Juan Ramos is the lead detective on this case. Let me tell you a bit about him. Detective Juan Ramos had only worked homicide for about 4 months.
All right, so let's break down what was said. Okay, so he says a few things, and I have a little note chart. I wonder if I can share my little note chart really quick. No, I'm gonna just can I oh, I can add another screen, right? So let's share. It's all right. So I have some notes. So some of his notes are that Alicia Andrews is not in a gang. She didn't know the men in the group. She was not in the loop. She was not part of the drill rap culture or scene. There's no physical evidence that will be displayed by the state. That's fingerprints, DNA, nothing linking her to the case. She had no motive. There's no evidence against her. And the reason why the case was brought was based on the perception of Detective Juan Ramos. Now, so let's break some of these things down. The fact that she's not in a gang. I wish I could share my little notes. Let me see. Stop screen. Let's share screen. Share. Let's go to this window with my Word notes. All right, cool. So let's show this. So this is my little Word notes with the notes. So he says she's not in a gang. Well, I would argue that honestly, whether she's in a gang has nothing to do with this murder. Yes, this is a gang-related murder. But as a juror, I don't think that I would care, right? Like the idea is conspiracy. The issue is that one of the person who were like identified as triggermen or had the guns, one of them was her boyfriend. So yes, she was not in a gang. So I think that is something dispositive of the case. No, she didn't know the men in the group. Well, here's the problem. I believe, and I'm not 100% sure, I haven't seen everything and I know we're not done, but I believe that this statement is going to be dispelled. She was not in the loop. She was not part of drill or rap culture. Now, here's the issue. We're going to listen to later the statement of her best friend. Her best friend, quote unquote, her bestie. This is why I don't be having besties, okay? Her bestie is going to get on the stand and she's going to say, like, basically go through all these text messages where they're talking about the drill rap scene. They're talking about people that they know that were unalived because of this situation, right? She's going to say that. That's going to happen. So the idea that she's not a part of the drill culture. Now, they say there's no physical evidence, and then he says there's no evidence against her. So see how he flipped that. He says there's no physical evidence, fingerprint, DNA, nothing that links her to the case. Then later he says there's no evidence against her, which is not true. There is evidence. She says she has no motive. We do know, we do see some sort of motive with her messages between her and her friend. And he says it's the perception of the facts of Detective Juan Ramos. They harp a little bit on the fact that Detective Ramos is a newer detective. This is his first 3 months as lead detective. He's not a new, from my understanding, it's just his first 3 months as lead detective. I don't know what that has to do with the case. I don't know. And maybe because I'm a younger attorney, I just think that's very offensive and and one of her attorneys has been an attorney way less time than me, and I feel like a new attorney. I don't know what this. I don't know what how long Mr. Detective Ramos has been a detective matters with his conclusions. Maybe they're going to tie it up together. I don't know, but I think that that's like an interesting hook. I will say this: this is a very people. You could go both ways on it, but I think this to me is a very weak. It's the only defense she has, right? But to me, it's very. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Uh, it's going to be hard because when we look at those text messages, the reason why I'll tell you, it places her at the scene. It places her with the people. It places her there. It places her in a place that she's not normally at, right? It's not like she's at her home and something happens, but she's, I think, 3.5 hours away. We're going to learn later that they leave in an Uber together. So there's a lot going on, but I just wanted to address what he says to keep your mind on. He points this out to the jury, right? Because remember, you're talking to the jury. Now, just like how I typed it, and of course the jury's going to be writing, but here's the problem. The jury, a lot of jurors go back to these points that attorneys make, right? And opening statements. And so they're looking for these facts to be true, right? You want a jury to trust you as an attorney, right? Just like as an attorney, I don't do jury trials, but when I have a court trial, I want the bench to trust me. And so I'm saying that because when you say things like that, and then it's not like to a judge understands, right? Because a judge knows, hey, counsel, you got to do your job. But a jury, on the other hand, sometimes doesn't understand when you make these kinds of statements and they're not true. All right. I'm not saying what you're saying is not true. I'm just laying out where we at. So let's get back to Mr. Attorney. I don't know his name, which I should, but I don't. So let's go to share screen. Let's go back to our opening statements and let's continue to watch together.
When he got this case, became a homicide detective in February. This murder happened in June. His first time as a lead detective on the case, and he lands perhaps one of the biggest homicide cases that the Tampa Police Department has seen in a while. Not by any merit, not by something he did to deserve it, simply luck of the draw. The Tampa Police Department handles 40 to 60 homicides a year, and they put their detectives in rotation. And so, luck of the draw, Detective Ramos gets this case. He shows up to the scene, speaks to a couple of his fellow officers, and begins to talk to witnesses, gathers some information about evidence and what have you. But his first big break in the case came when he got some intel from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office advised him that perhaps a man named Rashad Murphy and a man named Isaiah Chance might have something to do with this homicide. His second big break came when he ran a bullet through, and I say a bullet, the ATF gathered 30 of the 31 bullets left. He had one bullet, luck of the draw. Ran this one bullet through their system, that kind of, and it's a shell casing, not a bullet, a shell casing. It has a fingerprint. Once the firing pin strikes the casing, it leaves like a fingerprint, a distinct marking. And he gets a hit that alerts him to the fact that there were other fingerprints matching 5 shootings in Jacksonville prior. So now he has the idea that the shooters might have come from Jacksonville. After that, he proceeds to gather intel like information from license plate readers. Then he starts looking at cell phone data records. Then he uses that information to piece some other things together that leads him to a few spots in town. An Airbnb, a McDonald's, a strip club called Teasers, and a club called Truth 18. And you saw some of the video footage. When Detective Ramos first gets this Airbnb video, he sees Alicia Andrews at the front door and surmises that because he sees no one else go in, Alicia Andrews must have let them in the back door. But perception is not reality. He sees Alicia Andrews at the McDonald's with no mask, and then sees her at the club, in the parking lot of the club Teasers with the mask, and surmises that she must have had the mask on to cover her face at Teasers because she didn't have a mask on at McDonald's. But perception is not reality. Again, he sees Alicia Andrews with her boyfriend at Club Truth 18 walking with the mask on, surmising once again because she didn't have a mask on at McDonald's, but did have a mask on as she walked towards the club. She attempted to conceal her identity with that mask at Truth 18. Ladies and gentlemen, perception is not reality. It's just some human decision. Reality, however, is immovable. And we're going to talk about Alicia's reality in just a moment when I tell you what really happened. But with all of this intelligence, all of this assumption, all of this surmise, Detective Juan Ramos goes and gets Alicia Andrews and brings her into an interrogation room. And he begins to present to her what he calls evidence and tell her what his perception of the evidence is, as if it is reality. Well, it's simply not. What really happened in this case is Alicia Andrews was on a weekend trip with her boyfriend, ex-boyfriend. But before we talk about the trip, let me tell you a little bit about Alicia. Alicia, high school graduate, did really well in school, well enough to apply to college and get accepted at Bethune-Cookman University.
Okay. So before we even see what happened with the results of this, let's open up my handy dandy notes because I want to talk about some of what he's doing. All right. So he talks about so he's going through the perception of Detective Juan Ramos, who is a new homicide detective. So he is new to homicide. I can't spell, don't judge me, right? He's new to homicide. Great. But let's talk about the intel from the Jacksonville sheriff. So he says that that the detective receives intel from the Jacksonville office. Rashad Murphy and Isaiah Chance are named as potential suspects based on the intel he receives. Fingerprints. So they find fingerprints on the weapons that match 5 shootings in Jacksonville. Now, that is important The reason why is this is why I tell people don't go out hanging out with gangbangers doing crimes. You know why? Because one of the things that's going to come up is her knowledge of how dangerous and how these people rolled. And they're going to say, and I'm not going to tell you what they're going to say, but it does become an issue is how, let me move my mic back. I feel like I'm so loud. How dangerous these people rolled. Okay. So he says they use license plate readers, their cell phone data, which tracks everybody to an Airbnb. They see them at a McDonald's. They see them at the strip club teasers and Truth 18. Right. So let's go back to that. So they see Alicia Andrews open the front door, but no one else goes in. They assume she let them in through the back door. He says that that's not true. That is an assumption. We'll see if the prosecution can actually track that. Now, this is very interesting. Now, let me tell you why this is very interesting. We're going to get into this because remember, during the vid, we all wore a mask, right? That was a thing. Well, what they're saying here is that they see her at McDonald's with no mask. The reason why that's important, and it seems very trivial, but when you do investigations and you understand evidence, what that shows is that on a regular basis, she didn't wear a mask, right? Because there are people that wear masks all the time because they're afraid of getting sick, whatever, right? Or they don't want to get anyone sick, right? But if you see her shortly before and she wears no mask, that is important because it means that on a regular basis, it was not customary for her to wear a mask. And when you have a suspect, one of the things you have to do is look at their patterns and their behaviors, right? Because usually the disruption in the pattern is where you find something that connects them to wrongdoing, right? You're like, oh, they do this, especially when we're talking about crimes of unaliving someone, crimes of aggression, right? Or even these types of plotting, right? Because really what she houses more conspiracy, right? Those are the things you have to look, right? Because so him saying, oh, it's just a coincidence. I don't know if that's a coincidence. We're going to see what Detective Juan Ramos has to say. I feel like he's going to be the one everybody's pounding to death. But I'm just letting you guys know that this is important because it shows that she didn't use a mask most of the time, but then all of a sudden she had a mask on. Now, is it to hide her identity? I don't know what they think, right? So we have to understand what has transpired. Because, I mean, if they think they got away with it, why would they wear a mask? I don't know, but that's that. Now, he says something very interesting. He says perception is not reality. This is true, right? We all have assumptions about things. We see something, we're like, oh, I'm assuming this, I'm assuming that. However, you have to be a little careful with that because you also don't want to insult the juror's intelligence. Perception is not reality. However, we have to not insult our juror's intelligence. So we'll see how that goes. And he interrogates her with his perception of the evidence. This is a key issue because throughout the trial, the prosecution, which it hasn't come up yet because Detective Ramos hasn't testified, it hasn't come up in front of the jurors, but in the arguments amongst the attorneys, and I think in opening statements, the prosecutor has mentioned this. She lies to the detective and says she doesn't know these people, all this crazy stuff, which shows some kind of understanding of what happened, right? Here's the other thing that is going to be difficult for her. If you were really with your boyfriend and he did this wild, crazy thing, you could have went to the cops. You know, like you don't have to wait for the cops to come to you. And then even if, so let's say all of that, even if you were so like, I was so scared, whatever, when the detective started questioning you, you could have told him the truth, or you could have done the smarter thing and lawyer up and then let the lawyer handle that and protect yourself, right? So that's kind of the issue, is that the lying to him. So he says he presents her with this his version of the evidence. The reason why that's important is because he's trying to already put a excuse in the jurors' minds as to why she met with that detective and was not honest. Okay. Now he says she was on a weekend trip with her boyfriend and now we started with she's a high school graduate, well in school, and that she had the opportunity to go to college. So that is where we are now. And really, he's trying to separate her from the other guys in this situation, even the victim, Mr. Joolio Foolio, because they are all into that lifestyle. And he's trying to show that Alicia Andrews is a good, smart, good girl. Now, here's the problem. Good girls sometimes do like bad boys. And when you like bad boys, you get caught up in the bad boy stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, like, just because she's a good person doesn't mean good people don't make mistakes. And it doesn't mean that the jurors are going to say she's a good girl. She went to college. She could be my daughter. Let her off. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that. Okay? Okay? So that's just all I'm saying. This is where we're at right now. I just want to give everybody a briefing on what is going on. And now they're asking for sidebar. So let's break this down. Prosecution is asking for sidebar. So remember, the jury is like a little baby crystal egg. You have to be very careful what you say in front of jurors, okay? So you can't just say in front of the jurors, oh, you know, blah, blah. You have to be very, 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 very careful. The reason why is because they're like very Fabergé eggs. They don't know I'm moving my microphone back because I still feel too close. And I know I talk loud. Sorry. So the jurors are very, let me see if I could turn it down. I can't turn it down, huh? I would like to turn it down, but I can't. Okay. So, it's automatic. Okay. So the thing is that when jurors are little bitty baby Fabergé eggs, when you say things that are inappropriate, that can be misleading, that the judge has already said is inappropriate to say in front of the jurors, you can't say it because you get in trouble. You know what I mean? So that is what happens there. So now let's stop this. And we're going to go back to our video, but I just wanted to give everybody where we are. So he's asking for a sidebar to address that, right? Because it seems like maybe her attorney said something that he shouldn't have said. We'll see what I don't think the judge gives a sidebar, but we will see right now.
Yes, come on up.
Oh, she did get the sidebar. Wah, wah.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Alicia's reality. High school graduate, good student. Applied to and was accepted to Bethune-Cookman University, right there in Daytona, not too far from home.
So
But chose not to go and stay close to home, and instead went to tech school, become an esthetician, does hair, not hair, but eyelashes, makeup, nails, skincare, that kind of thing. She was a substitute teacher whom parents trusted with their children, even children who had some special needs and disabilities. This was Alicia.
Imagine
While
your
in
kid's
school,
substitute teacher
Alicia
being on
Andrews.
trial. Oh,
The
good
state
Lord.
reminded me that I have to use her first and last name.
Objection, improper.
Yeah, I must sustain the objection. So that's the general rule in court, last names only, okay, for everybody. All right, thank you, Mr. Malcolm.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That was inappropriate, what he just said.
So Alicia Andrews.
So let's pause it right there. Let's have another teaching moment. The reason why what this man just did was inappropriate is because he really is, that makes the prosecution seem like the bad guy, okay? That is not a good look. He cannot make the prosecution look like a bad guy. And by saying they reminded me I have to use her first and last name, it first of all, sidebar is supposed to be private. Sidebar is not supposed to have anybody. We're not supposed to know what sidebar is. Even in open court, sidebar is private. So the fact that he did that, I understand why he made that objection, and the court sustained that objection. It kind of is really not a good look to have sustained objections in your opening and closing statements. I've had people object to me in usually closing arguments, and they're like, it's just arguments. I've objected when it was someone, like sometimes when attorneys like start spewing wrong procedural history within the court, I correct it. That's the only time I object. Like I had someone say, Your Honor, the last time we were here, we said, and I objected and stopped that, just because sometimes I feel like when someone gets to go on a tangent about what the judge said last time, that sometimes confuses the judge on what the judge said last time. But in this case, like it's very rare to get objections here, and I just think that it kind of sucks to have that happen. But let's
While
go
in
back to our
school,
video.
befriended the sister of Isaiah Chance. They ran in the same social circles in high school, and through that process, Isaiah Chance became familiar with her and she with him. And he reached out to her via direct message, and they developed a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. And I mean, Isaiah Chance, tall, slender, handsome fella, captivating, charismatic. Alicia liked him. He liked her. So she thought. She would learn through their tumultuous, on again, off again relationship that perception is not always reality. And Isaiah Chance just really wasn't the guy she thought he was. You heard about the tattoos? Sure. Young lady liking a boy in high school who, to her, was just a rapper, not a gangster, not some street code name. Gutter was Isaiah's rap name. So Alicia Andrews got her boyfriend's rap name tattooed on her. A tattoo that she wasn't supposed to have, just like the relationship with Isaiah Chance, but it happened. As time moves on, Alicia Andrews learns that not only is Isaiah Chance more than not nice, sometimes he could be threatening, controlling. Sometimes she'd have to suffer serious consequences if she upset him. She learned that in the most serious ways. So, fast forward to 2000.
Okay, so I just want to go back to what this man is saying. He's saying, and I just want to address it. So we have our notes. Isaiah Chance is more than not nice. Sometimes he can be threatening and controlling, and serious consequences if she upset him. Now, okay. You want to know my thought about this? Well, which one is it? Is it that she just went on her vacation? Because look, let's stop sharing this and let's share my little, what's that majig called? My little majig. Hold on. Share screen. Yes. Okay. So let's go to our handy dandy Word doc with our notes from what this man is saying. So he says here, Isaiah Chance is more than not nice. Sometimes he can be threatening and controlling, and there's serious consequences if she upset him. Now, just up here, he says Alicia Andrews was on a trip with her ex-boyfriend, and all she expected was a trip with her ex-boyfriend. Now down here, he talks about how Isaiah Chance is more than not nice, sometimes can be threatening and serious consequences if she upset him. So which one is it, right? That's gonna be the real question. Which one is it? The reason why I bring that up is because they kind of are contradictory, right? It's kind of like we say, she didn't know what was going on. She was just with her boyfriend, and all of this kind of just happened to now she's threatened, and if she doesn't do what he wants her to do, then the consequences happen. So I'm just bringing this up because to me, it has this like a jury wants to hear a story. They want to hear a story. And I don't know if either side is telling a story, honestly, but we're gonna get into the nitty gritty. But let's finish this.
23. Alicia Andrews and Isaiah Chance on again, off again, on again, off again. Now, could be that Alicia's pregnant. This is during that on again, off again time period. They decide to take this trip. There's a big fight, a lot of fuss right before. And there's this makeup time. Isaiah says, hey, let's go to Atlanta. She didn't want to go that far away from home. Then he says, let's go to Tampa.
Your Honor, I object and ask to approach.
Okay, what's the legal basis for the objection?
Lack of good faith basis to make this statement, and he said,
Come on up.
Okay, I'm just talking. Another sidebar. If we could have a conversation for every sidebar. So he says that Alicia could be pregnant. They decide to take this trip. She actually gives birth in prison as a sidebar, just so you guys know. So they decided to take this trip. She was pregnant and gives birth in prison. Well, all right. This is very interesting. But let's keep watching. But that's where we are right now. They sidebar because it's hearsay. Because what they're saying is, what the issue is that they're saying that it's hearsay because they say the guy says, let's go here. Then he says, let's go there. And they just happened to, let's also get into this. There's a lot of coincidences in it. So we were going to go to Atlanta, but I didn't want to go that far. You know what I mean? So then we said, let's just go to Fort Lauderdale. And then we picked, right? There it is. Fort Lauderdale. Then we get to Fort Lauderdale and we just oh my God. Could you imagine that when we drove 3.5 hours to Fort Lauderdale, 3.5 hours, it happens to be the same day, the same night, that same hotel as Joolio Foolio. How did that happen? Like, what? Right? Like, that's what we're talking about here. Like, if it were down the street, if it were 10 minutes away, but to say you chose to drive 3.5 hours on a specific night where this man is, and he ends up unalive, and it's like, what? Oh my God! What a coincidence, right? Like, that's what we're talking about here, right? I mean, it's just funny to me because, I mean, that's what we're saying. And neither one of them lived in Fort Lauderdale. Her man, or Joolio Foolio, or the other fools in the case. The other Foolios in the case. The other Foolios didn't live there anyway either. Oh, let's continue.
So Tampa it is.
Tampa it is. Oh, it's Tampa. Sorry, not Fort Lauderdale. They're from Fort Lauderdale.
Isaiah,
They're from Fort Lauderdale.
this young lady on
To
Instagram.
Tampa.
I'm not sure if you know how the Instagram thing works with direct messages, but when you DM somebody, if you're not a follower, direct message someone, if you're not a follower, the message just sits in the request, kind of waiting for the person to approve the message you intend to send. So Isaiah Chance doesn't follow this woman who does half offs for Airbnbs and asks Miss Andrews to reach out to the woman whom Miss Andrews does follow and ask her to see if she can hook up an Airbnb for the weekend. Miss Andrews does. Gets on a Instagram and says, hey, half offs. Ask for availability in response. She says, or ask for time in response. And she says, let's do it this weekend. She says, how many rooms? She says 2. Now, there's some assumption on Mr. or Detective Ramos' side that because Alicia Andrews asked for 2 rooms for this romantic getaway, as he claims it to be, was some indication that she intended for this other group of guys to come to the Airbnb with them. In reality, Miss Andrews and Isaiah Chance were kind of on the outs. Didn't know if they were going to be on the in or the outs. So they got 2 rooms, bigger, more comfortable, some space for this trip that was to be a trip of reckoning and maybe reconciliation. Ultimately, though, Alicia Andrews and the friend or follower does not book the Airbnb. Somebody else does. Alicia Andrews did not know that somebody else books the Airbnb. She was out of the loop. Nonetheless, Airbnb booked on the way to Tampa.
Okay. This is stupid. All right, so we're gonna get back. I have my notes. Here. Because I'm trying to take notes so we can be on it. Okay. So here's our notes. All right. So bruh, what are you talking about? Now we're getting to the questionable, right? All right. So it says here that so she could be whatever that IG. So they contact somebody they know on IG who gives discount half off on Airbnb. So they couldn't even pay full price for the, you know what I mean? You go to do it and then you can't even pay full price. Like, what are we talking about here? And we can't even afford to pay full price, but we going to unalive somebody? Make that make sense. I'm not unaliving nobody if I can't afford to go full price on my Airbnb. But that's just me. Let's keep going. Needs time. And the lady says, let's do. So I guess that he's saying, I thought he said the lady said does it, but then it seems like he's saying Alicia said do this weekend. She says, how many rooms? 2. This is it. Where's my, I need one of the music things. 2. They say 2 rooms. That is so powerful. 2 rooms. Why do you need 2 rooms? He says because they were going on a romantic getaway. And it doesn't mean that they intended for the other men to come with them. They were on the outs and wanted a bigger room, more comfortable. Now, you just said the lady was pregnant with the man's baby. Okay. So you choose to go on a romantic getaway with your man, and you get 2 rooms because it's bigger, more comfortable, but you're pregnant with his baby. You got the baby in the stomach. The baby's going in his stomach, but you get 2 rooms. Okay, we might fall for that. I can see a little teeny inkling of why that might happen. But then what happens? Someone else, one of the other guys, books the room. So now the question is, can you really tell me that you didn't know these people were going? Can you really tell me that you thought this was a romantic getaway for you and your man when you don't book the 2 rooms for you and your man? Somebody else booked the 2 rooms for you and your man, and you get a room. I don't get it. And she didn't know who booked the Airbnb. She just magically knew the Airbnb was booked because she believed her man booked the 2 rooms. But your man was asking you to look up the 2 rooms. So what does this look like to me? As I don't know, because I'm not like a Joolio. I kind of like Joolio, Foolio. I like Young Nates. I like both of their music. Okay. What it looks like to me is you went and got the price of the rooms from the lady. You was the one doing the back work, right? Because because one thing that yes, they say she went to college to show she's a good girl, or she got accepted to college to show she's a good girl, but it also shows her she's a smart girl. So what does the smart girl usually do? The smart girl books the rooms. The smart girl does the research. The smart girl does the organization. And then the other people, the not so smart ones, do the planning and does the execution. And now I'm not talking about the unalive execution. I'm talking about booking the rooms to try, right? They do the actual work, right? So to me, You just told me that she's a high school graduate, got accepted to college, and then it makes sense that she would be the one doing the research for the Airbnb. I just I don't see this making any sense to anybody. That's just a lot of coincidences. And then after you get two rooms that you don't need. Here's the other thing. Okay, let's also break this down. Let's break down the logic here. You have two rooms, okay? You have two rooms. You want a half off Airbnb, but you want two rooms. So you don't have the money for a full Airbnb, but you're gonna get two rooms. You see why it doesn't all the way makes like it doesn't all the way. It's just like right, like it just seems like you. And then when they say let's do this weekend, I mean, then we're gonna find out she was there later. It's just a mess. But we're gonna stop sharing our handy dandy note screen, and we're gonna go back to our closing statements. Are they almost done? Oh, they're almost done. All right, let's go.
Isaiah Chance, and you saw the video. Before he picks up Alicia Andrews, stops by Sean Gaithwright's house, where he packs up all of these bags. Alicia Andrews never sees what goes into the Impala. She's not a part of that packing process, not in the loop. Isaiah Chance goes and then picks up Miss Andrews, brings her back to where they pack the bags, and then they head down to Tampa. Miss Andrews believes that they're about to hit the road, come straight from Jacksonville to Tampa, but they make a stop by this gas station. As Alicia Andrews sees her boyfriend get out and dap up some people and what have you, and the next thing you know, they're on the road again. Now, mind you, Sean Gaithwright's in the driver's seat. Isaiah Chance is in the front passenger seat, and Alicia Andrews is in the back seat, on her phone, TikToking, FaceTiming, or whatever it is they do on a road trip. Once arriving in Tampa, get to the Airbnb, just her, Isaiah Chance, Sean Gaithwright. While the two men in front get out of the car, Miss Andrews is in the back still on her phone. The gentlemen get out of the car, go inside the Airbnb. Miss Andrews then later gets out the car a few minutes after, goes to the front door. You saw it in the video, knocks on the door, and waits for someone to let her in. Now, when Detective Juan Ramos sees the video of Miss Andrews at the door, he perceives that Miss Andrews must have been the one who let the people who let her in the Airbnb because they don't see anybody else go in before her. Not the case. And the evidence will show you that. Alicia Andrews knocked on the door for the first time ever, approaching the Airbnb for the first time ever, let in by someone who was already in the Airbnb. She did not walk in the Airbnb and unlock a back door to let people come in to avoid being captured by the Ring camera. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. Once inside the Airbnb, Miss Andrews goes upstairs, takes the laundry off the bed, the linen off the bed, puts it in the washing machine downstairs, and goes back upstairs. And so she's washing the bed linen and upstairs on her TikTok, on her phone, TikToking or whatever it is, talking to her sister via text message and talking to Mr. Chance's mother about how to operate the washing machine. And so she's upstairs the entire time before they leave to go to McDonald's. Alicia Andrews does not know who's coming in and out downstairs, doesn't know that there's a Rashad Murphy coming by, a Davion Murphy showing up, no clue. When it's time to go to McDonald's, though, she finds out. When it's time to go to McDonald's, she comes downstairs, and Mr. Chance gives her the keys and says, hey, go get in the car. And of course she does. She goes and gets in the passenger seat of the silver Cruise that you saw in the video, expecting that Mr. Chance would join her in the driver's seat and take her to get food. However, that's not what happens. Mr. Davion Murphy, big guy, listed at about 5'9", 215 pounds, burly looking fella, a little gruff, comes outside and makes Mr. Chance get in the back seat, and he hops in the front seat, and he drives the Cruise to the McDonald's. And you see Davion Murphy in the driver's seat, Alicia Andrews in the passenger seat, and Isaiah Chance is in the back. Now, in the interrogation,
Wait. Okay. Wait a minute. Okay, we're gonna have to call cap on him again. I'm gonna have to call cap on him again. So let's go back. Let's go through what the man said. Okay. All right. So let's go through what he says. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we get here. He says here that so I started a new page. So I could keep where I am. Before he picks her up, he stops at Gaithwright's house. That's when they put the bags in. So if you've seen some of the history of what's been going on in the case, they put a bag in the car. Multiple bags are taken in and out of the car. She doesn't see that, but after they put the bags in the car, they go back to Gaithwright's house to pick Gaithwright up. She sees they go stop at a gas station. She sees the boys dap each other up, right? And then they go on the road. To me, it sounded like a caravan. He says that she didn't know that they were following, but to me, it kind of sounded like they were caravanning up there. I know that he tried to paint it like she didn't know, but it kind of sounds like it. She's in the back seat of the road trip, which to me is interesting. And her boyfriend's in the front seat with Gaithwright. Now, and it's important because down here, what he's saying doesn't make sense. So and my question is, how is this a romantic getaway with Gaithwright? What? Your answer is, this is a romantic getaway, and she didn't know all these people were coming, but you just said she went with him to Gaithwright's house to pick him up. If I'm on a romantic getaway with my man, I'm like, what the hell he doing here? What you doing here? Right? Like this, like it was a romantic getaway, but you go with him to get Gaithwright. It ain't like if Gaithwright came with the other boys, I could see that. I could be like, okay, I just popped up on you. But the fact that you roll with Gaithwright, so it's three of them is six people. Well, no, three of y'all, two of them, right? Because the two cousins are brothers or cousin brothers. I don't know what they are. They go by themselves, and Gaithwright is with y'all, and Gaithwright is the one driving. Because your man don't have a car, you clearly don't have a car, or are you not driving your car? Because like none of this makes sense to me, and I would like it to, but it doesn't. Because so she gets in the backseat during the road trip. I bolded underlined that because that's important. I said, how is this a romantic getaway? The man get out of the car and go outside in the Airbnb, I guess, to check in. She goes in. Then they say, so he's saying the prosecution alleges that she let the other two gentlemen in the back door. He's saying that she did not. So we'll see what the camera shows or what is wrong with the camera, because I'm sure they're going to say that the camera is missing, because I have a Ring camera. I don't think my Ring camera is like catches every single thing. What would I know? So he says she knocked on the door and someone let her in, Once inside the Airbnb, she takes the linens off on the washer. She goes on TikTok, then talks to Mr. Chance's mother about how to operate the washing machine, play the violins. She's a grown-ass woman, don't know how to play washing machine. We use a washing machine, but nevertheless, doesn't know where Rashawn Murphy and Davion Murphy does. I don't know anything about them. I don't know anything about Rashawn Murphy or Davion Murphy. Have you seen Rashawn Murphy and Davion Murphy? Oh, they're right here at the McDonald's. How they get here? What? Like, be for real. Then this is the key why I say it doesn't make sense. She says she gets in the car, and excuse my spelling, I'm typing fast, right? Like shorthand notes. Now, he says that she expected her man, to drive in the front seat. Okay. Now, wait a minute. Because your man ain't drove the whole trip. Remember, Isaiah Chance is driving. Isaiah Chance is in the passenger seat. From Gaithright is driving, right? I'm missing why she thinks that her man is gonna drive. I'm missing that. And then this is the part that really, 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 really gets me. That kind of makes it look like a little bit like she down for the cause, like every thug needs a lady, every thug needs a downer, right? Because she's in a passenger seat with her man, homie. Now, he says because Murphy is a big, stocky fella. He may be a big, stocky fella. But if I'm in a car with my man and my man, homie, I'm like, oh, baby, go ahead, get in the front seat with your man. I'm going to get back on my phone in the back seat and get on TikTok. It just don't match. Like, you're asking the jurors at this point to just be dumb. Right? Now, now this is just opening statements, right? Because the evidence can give the jury reasonable doubt. But I don't think this is giving a whole lot of reasonable doubt, okay? Okay. Because it don't make sense. Okay. But we'll see, because we don't know how close the jurors are following this. So let's see.
Room, Detective Ramos tells Alicia Andrews that she must not be wearing a mask at the clubs to conceal. She must be wearing the masks at the club to conceal her identity, because she's not wearing the mask at the McDonald's. But the reality is, Alicia Andrews thought that it was just going to be her and her boyfriend. No reason to wear the health mask, the medical mask. Then she didn't know that Davion Murphy was going to bum rush the ride and take control of the driver's seat, let alone did she expect Isaiah Chance to let him do so. So she's caught without her mask unexpectedly. Davion's in the video, you see him smoking and puffing, and Alicia wants to say something, but she can't, because she's afraid to say something to this guy who just bogarted the cruise, made her man get in the back seat, and took over. She won't say anything. Not because she was trying to hide herself. She didn't say anything because she was scared. Not because she wanted the guy to smoke in her face, because she was scared. They get back to the Airbnb, and a few hours later, they head out again. Go to Club Teasers. Now they're in the cruise again, and Isaiah Chance is driving. Now, the state asserts that because Isaiah Chance is driving and Alicia Andrews is right next to him while Isaiah Chance is on her phone, Alicia must have heard everything Isaiah said. They got that from Juan Ramos. But that's a bad assumption, because there's...
For that comment, Your Honor, is that proper?
Anyway, again, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this are just the opening statements. The attorneys are telling you what they believe the evidence will be. That's all that it is, their belief. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's a bad assumption, because there's no way of knowing. Although the cell phone data shows that that line was open and there was communication between the two phones, there's no way of knowing whether Isaiah...
Okay, sorry. So I just want to go over, because I'm looking at this. I'm like, what is this Club Teasers about? Okay. So I'm gonna open it up, club. Am I still muted? Oh no, I'm not. I'm like, am I muted? Tab is crazy. So let's go over this club teasers now, because I want to know what this club teasers, why she would have a mask on at club teasers. Why would she have a mask on at club teasers, guys? Why do you guys think she had a mask on at club teasers? Why was she wearing a mask at club teasers? Rapper Joolio Foolio was unalived after leaving an official birthday party at Teasers Gentleman Club in Tampa. Sorry to yell, but come on. Come on. Come on. Let's be freaking for real here. All right, let's go back. I just wanted to say that because I'm like, what is this club teaser? You know what I mean? Because they're mentioning this club teasers. So I'm like, what is going on? But I wanted to show y'all that why club teasers, because we didn't watch the prosecution statement, so you may not understand. But I wanted to say what the club teasers thing was, because I thought it was so important that people understand what the heck is going on here. And we're almost
Chance was the talker or the listener. And even if Isaiah Chance was the talker, there's no way to know whether he was using explicit language that Alicia Andrews could understand. So when in the interrogation room, Detective Ramos asks Alicia Andrews what Isaiah Chance was saying, and she says, I don't know. It was the truth. She didn't know. And there is no evidence whatsoever to the contrary. When they get to the club and they get out, Detective Ramos assumes that Alicia Andrews allows Isaiah Chance to use her phone. That's not the case. When Isaiah Chance says, give me the phone, she knows it's in her best interest to give him the phone. And so she does. Isaiah Chance uses Miss Andrews' phone all the time, whenever he wants. Nothing new, nothing strange.
Okay, let's unpack this. So it said when Isaiah Chance is sitting next to him, she doesn't know he's sitting next. She doesn't hear anything he's saying, even though they're sitting right next to each other. And then he's using her phone. And she knows it's in her best interest to give it to him. Now, again, guys, my question is these, okay? So Alicia Andrews is scared of him, but they're also on a romantic getaway. Like, what? Like, I'm scared of him, and he's gonna and I granted, this is what I do for a living, the DV world. I get it. There are a lot of men and women that are scared of each other. Men are scared of women, women are scared of women, women are scared of men are scared of women, women are scared of men. It works out kind of ways. Everybody's scared of everybody. But it doesn't match that they're going on a romantic vacation, because if he's working to get back in your good graces, you could probably tell him, no, he can't use your phone, right? And then to say that you're sitting right next to him and he's on the phone and you can't hear nothing he's saying.
Whatsoever
Nothing?
to Miss Andrews. Give me your phone. Here's the phone. So he asked for the code to unlock the phone, and Miss Andrews gives him the code to unlock the phone. Nothing new, nothing strange, nothing suspicious about this at all. And you see them walking.
It's very suspicious.
And conspicuously, you'll note that
I like this attorney though.
though
I do
there's
like
an
him.
assertion that all the defendants in this murder conspired together, coordinated together, one stands out. When you see them in the video at Truth 18 and teasers, you see that Isaiah Chance is dressed in all black, face covered with the health mask, hoodie on. You see Alicia Andrews not dressed in all black, mask on, face completely exposed.
Well, the reason why she wouldn't be dressed in all black is because she's the girl, and it's common fiction amongst the ignorant that nobody will believe a girl was involved. But we've learned so many times that women can be the leader and the organizer. So that's why that, I mean, it is common fiction because I have had men tell me, "You a girl, they ain't gonna bother you. You a girl, don't worry about it." Right? It's common fiction that they say that. So that's, I don't see um that meaning much. But I mean, it's
When you
wrong with
see
the
the
jury, I
video
understand.
of the shooters at the hotel, all dressed in black, from head to toe, Rashad Murphy and Sean Gaithright. Everybody's coordinated, dressed in black, covered from head to toe. Isaiah Chance, Rashad Murphy, Davion Murphy, Sean Gaithright. All of them except Alicia. She wasn't in the loop. Then they walk up to the club. You see them go out of camera, then go back to the car, and they leave. Now, the state says that everywhere they went, they were following Charles Jones. As a matter of fact, the state even said Alicia was driving. Said that twice. Alicia Andrews doesn't even have a driver's license, doesn't even know how to drive, never drove, was never in control of the situation. She was a passenger in a car. Her boyfriend drove, in her mind, to get some food and to go to a few clubs in Tampa. She had one agenda, to be with her boyfriend. No mission to do anything to Mr. Charles Jones, be with the boyfriend. But the state says, and Detective Ramos said it too, that Alicia Andrews, if she wasn't a part of the conspiracy, should have stayed in the car, could have stayed in the car. But at the same time, the state tells you that Mr. Jones died in the car, caged. He was a sitting duck in a car. So of course, when Isaiah Chance gets out of the car in the middle of the night, Alicia Andrews knows better than to just stay in the car. She came with her boyfriend, intends to be with her boyfriend, gets out with her boyfriend, and walks to the club with her boyfriend. She didn't stay in the car like a sitting duck, because bad things can happen to you when you sit in the car in the parking lot. That's it. That's all. No evidence whatsoever suggesting that Alicia Andrews was on some surveillance mission. As a matter of fact, there's no indication that Isaiah Chance needed her help to survey anything. When walking, you'll see Alicia Andrews is farthest away from the club. Both clubs. No indication whatsoever that Alicia Andrews was on some kind of surveillance team, surveillance mission. She wasn't even dressed like the rest of the alleged conspirators. Alicia Andrews tells Detective Ramos this, but he says, "No, what are you doing there? You must be stalking. You must be surveying." And she tells him that that's just not the case. "I'm with my boyfriend." She says it over and over again. "I'm just with my boyfriend." As a matter of fact, in that interrogation room, every time Detective Ramos asks her questions about herself, she's forthcoming and truthful. He tells her she has the right to remain silent. She doesn't exercise that right. She tells him exactly what he wants to know when he asks her questions about her. For example, in the interview, Detective Ramos asks, "Is that you in the car?" Without hesitation. She says, "Yeah, that's me." Another truthful statement. Do you know the guy who drove you to McDonald's? No, she doesn't know him. Just showed up at the Airbnb that night. You guys went to some clubs? Yeah. Couldn't get in though. And the reason why they didn't go in is because they didn't like the price. They asked the bouncer how much, didn't like the price, didn't go in. Do you remember the clubs that you went to? Not really. Is that you and Zay as they walk through the parking lot? Isaiah, they call him Zay. Is that you and Zay? Yeah. Is he using your phone? Yeah. Who is he talking to on the phone? I don't know. At the McDonald's, was Isaiah in the back seat? Yeah. Every time Detective Ramos asks Miss Andrews a question, she's honest, forthcoming, not trying to hide anything. It's just the truth. However, Detective Ramos doesn't like the truth. He gets upset, starts yelling at Alicia, starts cussing at Alicia, starts telling Alicia that she's going to die in jail, start telling Alicia that her parents are going to die and she'll never get to see them. Tell Alicia Andrews that she'll never be able to see her baby again, all because his perception doesn't fit her reality, and he won't let her reality change his perception. But the reality is Alicia Andrews had one agenda, and this group had an entirely different agenda. You'll see. You'll see.
All right, let's pause it right here and go back to our analysis of the topic. Okay, so I now have a tab. I just want to show y'all because he says at least she didn't know Julio Foolio was going to be there. I think it's going to come out that excuse me, she followed Julio Foolio online, and this is a post from Julio Foolio's page where he posted June 22nd, 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. B-Day Julio Foolio Bash. And this is it. This is his post that actually ended up being, which is super, super sad to see, to be his final days, right? Because this is the post of where everything would happen. Tampa, Florida. What is it? My Airbnb pool party, June 21st. DM me for address. My official birthday party, June 22nd at Teasers on Nebraska Ave in Florida. Pull up. So yeah, so there we are. So there goes that. I'm sure that's going to be shown later by the lead detective, but there goes that theory that she Julio's here. What? But let me go back to some of my notes. Actually, I shared this back to you quick because let's go back to my notes. Let's go back to my notes because y'all know I got the notes crack-a-lacking. All right, so here are our notes. She was not following Julio Foolio. She just didn't know how to, she doesn't know how to drive, so she wasn't driving any car. She don't have a license, you know what I mean? But she's a brilliant young lady. She was a passenger. She thought they were just going to go to get food in clubs. These men show up. She had no intention to hurt the Foolio. She could have stayed in the car, but she gets, so one of the things that the investigator says is if she wasn't on the mission and she was just being held against her will and couldn't do anything, she could have just stayed in the car. He's saying, she couldn't stay in the car. So she gets out with her boyfriend because bad things happen in the car because Julio Foolio sitting in the car, which kind of to me, like, it's a little... That line about Julio Foolio was sitting in the car and it's dangerous to sit in a car is almost sounds like something like they said, like, hey, he's stupid for sitting in the car. Like, I don't know. Like, it just rubbed me the right wrong. Maybe it's my street lens on. But to me, it's like, what? Like, what? It sounds like, you know what I mean? It sounds like they were saying, like, he was sitting in the car, so that's what's wrong with Julio. Shouldn't have sat in that car. I didn't like that, okay? There was no surveillance mission. Now, he says she's the farthest away. They didn't need help. They probably did need help. I think that she's the farthest away from the club. The whole club thing might have been to see how many people were with him, because remember, if this one of the biggest things is how many people were with Foolio. It wasn't that many, right? I mean, they might have wanted to know if he was 20 deep or 30 deep, right? If he had security bodyguards with him, who would have been trained powers, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that the reason why you case people, right? I mean, they're relying on people's ignorance, but this was not the case. She was just with her boyfriend. She was forthcoming to the detectives about the questions. However, she tells him everything he wants to know about her. Is that you in the car? Yes. Do you know who drove you to the McDonald's? No, I don't know him. Here's the problem. Are y'all ready for the? Let me spin around. Right. What is the problem with that? By this time, you do know this man because you done got in a car with him. You telling me this man got in a car, didn't say hi, my name is. Hi, my name is. I don't believe that. You could at least said, "Oh, that's my boyfriend's friend," blah blah blah. But I don't know him. Like, y'all know him. But to say no, I don't know him is just like that's not truthful. Because even if you didn't know him before this night, y'all didn't exchange names. Y'all done went to a club together. Y'all done went to McDonald's. So you telling me you sat there with these fools at McDonald's in the club and nobody said no 2 words to you, and you just sitting there twirling your fingers, clicking on TikTok. Stop that. You stop that. That don't even make no sense. Right? Like that's your answer. You could at least say like, "Oh, that's Rashad. That's my boyfriend, man. But I don't know him. Like he was just or don't. How about this? Don't say nothing and get an attorney." They couldn't get in the clubs because they didn't like the price. I don't believe they couldn't get in the clubs. I mean, they might have because they had to split the Airbnb. So funds could have been low. Should have asked Young Nates for some money. JK, allegedly, right? But the issue is could not get into clubs because they didn't like the price. Now, or they could have been casing the joint. He says she wasn't even dressed, and I'll put in parentheses, is it because she's a cute girl trying to play a civilian? And she had one agenda and the group had another agenda. Everybody had the agenda but her. All the people she walking with, talking with, click clack up with, all had an agenda except for her. Okay. Not that I don't believe that this could happen. It's just like, because if it was me and I had, if it was a real like, you brought your NF in France here and you did it, I'm gonna stay home and lay down. And she pregnant. She's pregnant. So let's stop there. I don't care how much abusive he is. She's pregnant with his child, and he wants her to go to a club. He's pregnant with his. You know what I mean? Like I just. Even if she said, "Oh, I'm sick, I'm nauseous, my stomach hurt, I need to stay home," she could have stayed home. "Oh, I'm in morning sickness, evening sickness. Oh, I can't take this. Oh, I need to stay home."
Drews did anything to contribute to this conspiracy. As the state spoke to you, it spoke quite a while. Never once did they say that Alicia Andrews did anything like touch a gun, touch an extended clip, touch a brass catcher? None of that. You won't find any physical evidence, no DNA, no fingerprints. You think that being a part of this big conspiracy, at least one time, ex-boyfriend or somebody in the group said, "Hey, hold this gun. Hey, give me that magazine. Hey, what about the brass catcher?" Not one time. No physical evidence, no DNA supporting any assertion that Alicia Andrews had anything to do with this conspiracy.
She could have had gloves in her purse.
It's almost as if Alicia Andrews was not necessary for the trip. Plain as day. It's true. These guys did not need Alicia Andrews to commit murder.
They did it.
Alicia Andrews did not know these guys intended to commit murder. No evidence whatsoever, except for Alicia Andrews came to Tampa to be with her boyfriend. The group, all of them in the group.
Now the only thing I have with this, and I'll tell you this, is she was so not necessary. Why was she there? Right? Like these four boys, they didn't use her money, they didn't use anything, right? So why would she be there? That's the only issue I have with what he's saying. Because it seems to me like, why is she there? But nevertheless, let's keep going.
Made the phones go ghost, except Alicia Andrews. All of them wore all black attire. Not Alicia Andrews. If the state's right, all of them went in the back door of the Airbnb. Not Alicia Andrews. All of them brought guns to the party, except Alicia Andrews. It was Alicia Andrews the entire time who had one agenda and one alone, that to be with her boyfriend, never in a group of guys who conspired to kill Charles Jones if the state is right. I want you to stay focused throughout this trial. While the state spoke, it talked a lot about Rashad Murphy, Davion Murphy, Isaiah Chance, Seth Gaithright, or Sean Gaithright, whichever one. But the styling of this case is the state of Florida versus Alicia Andrews. Stay focused. And you will see, ladies and gentlemen, that there's not one single shred of evidence that supports the state's claim that Alicia Andrews conspired to kill Charles Jones.
We're almost here.
Let alone did anything to further such conspiracy.
Let's do it.
You listen to the evidence in this case, and you'll look for it. You'll look for it. You'll look to see the action that Alicia took to further this conspiracy. You'll hear the evidence in this case, and you'll look for it. You'll look to see evidence that Alicia Andrews knew something about this conspiracy to kill Charles Jones, but you won't see it. What you will learn is that Alicia Andrews had absolutely no knowledge.
I think this was a good opening statement.
These four boys conspired to kill Charles Jones. And the reason she had no knowledge is because she was not in that group. She was never in the group.
It's a good opening statement.
She was never in the group.
He's very passionate. He is
despite all of the evidence,
client, which is
all
like
the technology,
more what we
cell
need more
phone
of. So I'm here for it.
License plate readers, DNA catchers, fingerprints, agencies like JSO, Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, Gwinnett County Police, Tampa Police Department, ATF, all of these agencies, all of this technology, none of it will render one shred of evidence to prove that case. It's kind of like what Isaac Asimov said when he said that the saddest aspect of life right now is that science gathers knowledge faster than society gathers wisdom. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, listen to the evidence in this case. Be the wisdom, right the wrong, and render the only verdict that the facts and the law in this case supports. That Alicia Andrews, not only beyond a reasonable doubt, is not guilty. Alicia Andrews is innocent. Alicia Andrews is innocent. Alicia Andrews is innocent. And render a verdict of not guilty.
All right. We are done with the opening statements for the defense. The prosecution went on forever, so we're not going to even try to do theirs. All right, but there are some highlights I want to address. So probably the next video will probably be looking at the best friend. I'm trying to do some of the highlights in succinct order. I actually have planned on doing the best friends video first, but I think that it's important to know the what's important from the opening statement from the defense. Remember, the defense does not have the burden. The prosecution has the burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. From the defense's opening statement, it seems like they believe they can prove beyond a reasonable doubt, but they have an excuse for it. I don't know. That's just my interpretation. But let's see what the behind the reasonable doubt, if they can, because remember, the defense does not have the burden. So next, we're going to look at this best friend's statement. I think this is already queued up. But I need to take a break. But in the meantime, but that's already queued up. Outside of that, we probably have about I saw something about the surveillance. We can go over the surveillance. I don't want to go into the glory because I don't even think that it's necessary for us. The reason why they go into the glory is just so that the jury can see how important that their decision is, right? I think, but we're going to look at the best friend. Then we're going to probably go into some of the surveillance and see what we can knock out this weekend. But that was a review and legal analysis around. I don't have any facts of the case. I'm not an attorney on the case, and I'm not giving no legal advice. Okay. I am just actually here as a legal commentator on the topic, similar to how I always do, right? Anything that I say is my opinions. It's all allegedly, right? This is all fair use, right? And I heard somebody comment one time and say, "Oh, you say that because something they said stupid, like, oh, because you, but no. Let me tell you something. I say that because how can I say it? I say that because I say that, sorry, I was writing down my notes for later so I don't forget. But I say that because just because people know, right? The idea is that we don't want people to be confused, and we also don't want people to think that this is legal advice, right? I don't know you, right? And nobody should give you legal advice that hasn't sat down and heard your own particular case, right? So if you ever are in a situation, lawyer up. It's okay, right? Lawyer up, save some money, get some money, beg your people, whatever, right? But lawyer up. But I want you guys to know that when we review these trials, you have a better understanding of what goes on and how things go on, right? So this is a Joolio Foolio trial, Alicia Andrews, right? This is our legal commentary and breakdown of the defense's opening statement, right, in the State versus Alicia Andrews trial, right, regarding Joolio Foolio. As a licensed attorney, I walk through the key arguments, courtroom strategy, and explain the legal implications in pure English. This is not legal advice, and I am not your lawyer. Okay. Okay. And so whether you're a law school student, true time follower, or just curious about how courtrooms work, that's what I'm here for, right? And so we are here. And so hopefully either tomorrow or tonight, maybe tonight, definitely by tomorrow, we will address her best friend. But without that being said, I'm up out of here because I'm tired. So everybody have a good evening and good night.